What are Jews? BQ Since Judaism is a religion, why didn't they just stop being religious? Hitler saw the Jews as a race. The Nuremberg Encyclopedia.uschen.org content an article at Nuremberg race laws classified people as Jewish if 3 or more of their grandparents were Jewish, which was verified by birth records, death records, and marriage records. If you had 1 or 2 Jewish grandparents, you were a misklinge, or mixed race and had limited rights. It had nothing very little to do with whether or not you believed in Judaism. Edit changed it from nothing to very little since Hitler was happy to see synagogue records and used them to decide if someone was Jewish. For this reason, it was hard for Jewish people to lie and say they weren't Jewish. The Nazis could simply check the records of your grandparents from decades ago to figure it out, and it would go on all your official paperwork. They are a religion and an ethnic group. Since Judaism doesn't seek to convert others and doesn't make it easy to convert, plus other factors such as tight-knit communities and long-term discrimination, there's a lot of overlap. Christianity, with its aggressive conversions and missionaries, doesn't have the same link. Ethnicity is a lot more culturally influenced than hard science. Scientifically speaking, there's one race, the Homo sapiens. Sharing a common language and customs is in many ways more important to ethnic groupings than genetics. Is German a race? Hell no. It's an ethnic group not because of genetics, but because of a line on a border drawn up after WW2. But it's an ethnic group because of shared customs, experiences, etc. And that intersects with various other ethnic groupings, just as Jews do. I'm from Russia, my passport said I'm Jewish. You can find those passports on Google. I did a 23andMe, and it asked me if I'm Jewish. I said yes, and it's listing me as 99.9 Ashkenazi Jewish and 0.1 unassigned. If you go to doctor, they ask you if you're Jewish to narrow down on some potential problems. I just don't think this is how religion works. If you convert from Islam to Christianity, doctors want to assign different tests to you. There's also a Jewish religion. We are an ethnicity. Like other ethnicities, there are Jews of different races. There is a culturally associated religion, Judaism, which about half of Jews worldwide practice regularly. Like in WW2 when the Nazis were sending Jews to concentration camps, who were they sending? BQ Since Judaism is a religion, why didn't they just stop being religious? You know that cliché when a German SS officer is in films, papers, and identification. Please, Germany had a lot of records. Also, anyone living somewhere has a network, family, neighbors, etc. who they can ask. Jews are an ethnic group as much as they are a religion. Germans and Ethiopians aren't a race. Jews are both an ethnicity and a religion. You need to think of ethnicity. Ethnicity is not race, although race can sometimes be mixed in with it. An ethnicity is a group of people that share some religious or cultural background. Ethnicities can overlap. Often you can be of different races within that ethnicity. For example, you might be Hispanic because you grew up in a Latin American country, speak Spanish, and have that shared cultural linguistic background. Or you could be Jewish because you grew up practicing Judaism, or your family was Jewish and passed along all of the cultural norms to you, so that you identify as them. Or, and get this, you could be both. And for the kicker, you could have either or both of those backgrounds while being black, white, or some other shade. Ethnoreligion, ethnic group, and religion simultaneously. Germans and Ethiopians also aren't races. They are ethnicities. Race refers to physical characteristics like skin color or other physical attributes, whereas ethnicity refers to region and culture, not to be confused with nationality, where you come from rather than ancestors. Jews are an ethnicity, and as an ethnicity they practice a specific religion. So are Jews a race of people or a religion? They can be both or neither depending on who is doing the counting. There are some religions that are specific to one ethnic group, and they don't seek conversions. Judaism and the Amish are examples. You can convert, but they don't make it easy. Shinto is another. Both Islam and Christianity started out that way, but then decided that their message wasn't just for Arabs and Jews respectively. As outlined by other posters, the Nazis had to define being Jewish. The Israeli had to have rules to decide who is allowed to return. They particularly exclude Jews who practice another religion, even if they are Jewish by ancestry. To be even more confused, check here. https://wikipedia.org wiki Wesa Jew 3f https://wikipedia.org wiki Wesa Jew 3f. They are an ethno-religious group. There's very few people following the Jewish religion who aren't genetically Jewish too. The Ethiopian Jews, Persian, European, all of them had a distant Jewish ancestor from Israel. Because they've moved around a lot through the years. Jews are an ethnic group and a religion. Jews can be any race. Nazis were targeting Jews as an ethnicity, not a religion. The term Jewish can refer to both a religion and an ethnic or cultural identity. Judaism is indeed a religion, but Jewish people also share a common ancestry, culture, and history. This dual aspect often leads to confusion. In WW2, the Nazis targeted people who were ethnically Jewish, regardless of their religious beliefs. Jewish identity can be passed down through ancestry, which is why babies and children of Jewish descent were targeted. So, while Judaism is a religion, Jewish people can also be considered an ethnic or cultural group. Different Jewish communities around the world may have distinct cultural practices, but they share a common heritage. We are an ethno-religion. All the above. Nazis wouldn't have absolved us for changing religions and hated us for a race, and we grew up with a shared history even across continents, so we might as well be family. They are a tribe who believe they are God's promised people. Orthodox Judaism practices matrilineal descent, so basically in theory you can only be a Jew if your mother was. There's some good info on here, some flat-out false info, some mildly anti-Semitic info. But point of contention, there are no Palestinian Jews, only Israeli Jews. The Palestinian Authority and Hamas, the two ruling factions over the Palestinian territories, literally do not allow that. Hamas has in their charter a clause that calls for the genocide of all Jews, and while the PA is marginally better, they still subscribe to the Pay for Slay program that pays stipends to families of terrorists who successfully killed Jews and are in turn killed or imprisoned. Not to mention, even if they did on paper allow a Jew to be a Palestinian subject, their people would not. Never forget that 2 Israeli Jews once accidentally wandered into a Palestine-controlled city Ramallah, and were horribly, disgustingly, and brutally lynched. Wikipedia.org Wiki 2000 Ramallah lynching. Once the Palestinians heard that 2 Jews had come to their city. And side note, if you watched the Oscars and noticed people wearing pins with red hands, that was a dog whistle referring to this lynching. There are Ethiopian white Jews where got black just because of 2000ers generational living there. The body DNA always finds a way. The fact that they are mostly Jews who fled Israel, it's proven by genetic tests in collab with National Geographic DNA scientists. You can watch even documentation about it. They found out because some Ethiopians have very old Jew tradition practicing, and after that they made several DNA and genetic tests.